workers of the Holy Spirit. Church mukidodo awe kuluweruweru atene bikoligo bya setani byakusiba awone bikutulwa obufumbo bwagana olina luzalo abasajja abafumbo be bakwagala ate bwe bamala ne bakulekawo bulijjo gwe mukazi wa 10 ate n'abaana bo buli mwana alina taata tino jangu okutule.
RWENZORI TV, your gateway to the RWENZORIs. RWENZORI TV, your gateway to the RWENZORIs.
This is Kasese, a district located in western Uganda. I was born here. I have grown up here, seeing the elderly with many perceptions. I used to visit my grandparents and always find them complaining of amakeko, a Lukonzo word that means the different ailments. And truly, they would often flock Kagando Hospital, which is about 5 kilometers away from their home. Over the last couple of years, there has been a spike in cancer patients from my district.
Namabika na marwala muna yisiba munda subala nalibana obutu kwereke inende nabe narukubanda tabati ya St Mary's yo kilembe kina St Mary's ya nabana hikaba mambera mukapira oloba bere bambera musikana mbungatole na ina semezibwa bula mbambara ngone manye protetisikasa.
Community members have also been complaining of stomachache and ulcers. Among these community members are the men and women who are 60 years and above. Johnson Baluko, aged 69, is among those battling multiple diseases.
Nario nabamba bimbira mukapira basi narona matungo buholo masabe huluka. Nana mikalarenga sobara mukapira betu nguo bulumi. Nario mohere ndambi ibakanza kakabendulo. Obuli wiki biri bakabendolo kandi bobere yakabendolo ngaenda na mitoro bibiri bayari alolo kudoketa na sante sya mabula na mikala na kapira erigunza mizi haku himizini.
After several attempts at treatment, he was introduced to a palliative care system which has gradually changed his life. He now stays at home in bearable health-related challenges. His hope is to meet Ann Goodman, the American doctor behind the idea of the palliative care project at Kagando Hospital.
Yabo chinji yanga wete bana mukazana na mutwa dawo kwa nene sindike senda tasapanga na musabe ndomuke kulwetro yo ana nyamuhanga umwambe kukandu ngongera mutima warengo yori wotiki tukapisi tuwete betu.
The increasing numbers of people under the palliative care are worrying the communities. Sidora Katsime is the palliative nurse at Kagando Hospital.
Palliative care, this is a holistic care which is given to patients and their families who are terminally ill. By this I mean, these are patients who have life-threatening conditions.
Actually, the increasing numbers of people under this palliative care have forced Kagando Hospital to always arrange for outreaches, and the results are shocking.
Others can't afford transport to Kagando. Others are very weak, though they can afford, but they are too weak to travel to Kagando. So we decided to extend the services nearer to them by having outreaches.
One of the factors pointed at is the care these older persons live in and the food they eat.
Going back to elderly, I think that there are many things which we can do even before we get old. We should make sure that we eat proper food and continue eating proper food. What is proper food? Vegetables and fruits and things which will not mess up the body. If you drink waraji, you will know that your body is going to be messed up.
Currently, there are unanswered stories about the living lives of the elderly persons. This story seeks to answer the key questions. Who is an elder? Where are they found if they are suffering? Who is responsible? And what can government do to change the situation? To ascertain who an elder is, I have to walk back in time. An elder, according to Merriam-Webster, is any person who is older than you. But on the other hand, a church elder is someone who helps run the church, not necessarily its eldest member. Back to my society, we still regard an elder as a weak human being and burden to the productive members of the community. An old person is also feared to be a witch. We lack knowledge about these people, because when I was about 8 years, I used to fear my grandmother so much because of her wrinkled face and gray hair. So my mother would use our grandmother as a scary object to scare me from crying. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. That's according to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11. Now that I'm grown up, I would like to demystify this assumption. I booked the former bishop of South RWENZORI Diocese for an interview to throw more light about an elder.
In our society, an elderly person would be a person who is advanced in age. Advanced in age in the sense that that person may be 70, 80, onwards. Yes. But these words sometimes get used loosely. You hear people talking about men or women in the 50s as elderly. But to me, that's not correct. Elderly is a person who is advanced in age.
He narrates how important it is to love and protect the rights of the elderly persons.
They have an experience that is much deeper.
Bishop Masereka actually worried that my community is still lagging behind as far as caring for the elderly is concerned.
In other countries, they train nurses. It is called gerontology. That is a program of training for care of old people. So you have geriatric nurses, nurses specializing in care for elderly people. You have geriatric doctors who specialize in care for old people. So some of us are beginning to encourage nurses schools or medical schools to begin to explore that possibility of training doctors and nurses specifically for caregiver for elderly persons.
Bishop Masereka's revelations were not quite different from what Baluku said.
Nami bali busy wape bama bakuwe ngatraga ngataire umasingo awute buhoro ambo yitwe tukerere byumurushya kulo namengero muhosi kala mukunjingo bakale byaba kile byakapira habari hamba ndio makara tukole tuti narabana baeka kuba namamba bati bamapangisipi kirimbirako paka kaando.
According to the World Health Organization, palliative care is a holistic approach that improves the quality of life of patients and their families who are facing problems associated with life-threatening diseases.
Patients with the cancers, those are patients who have no hope, and these patients, when we are caring for them, we evolve their family. So that's why we always evolve them, because most of the things to be done are done by the what? By the relatives.
Although government has not designed any program specifically targeting the elderly between 60 and above who are battling with much illnesses, the Social Assistance Grant for Empowerment now acts as a relief. SAGE program started in 2010, and by 2015, the elderly above 80 years started benefiting at sub-county level countrywide.
That is the SAGE program. Of course, let you aware, government has not left anyone behind. Like I normally ask myself, I'm like, which person is really left behind, especially benefiting from government? So when you look at the older person, like I said, there's the person who has clocked 60 years and above. In here you find we have the pensioners and we have those who, of course, like didn't work for government. So government has not left them behind. The pensioners are getting their pension.
Kwinigonda Asimwe, the SAGE program focal person for Kasese district, weighs in.
On quarterly basis, where every quarter an individual is given 150,000. I mean in a quarter it is 75,000, but basically in most cases we pay them like in 2 quarters 150, looking at the 75 for the 3 months. Of course sometimes those people get arrears. I don't get surprised, there is where like you find like they even get like 300. When they get that money, of course there are those who like really plan well for their money, and people have gone into some small projects like piggery, poultry, and of course those who are having their small other businesses, they inject in that money, and it has really helped them improve on their economic status.
So, what is the fate for the men and women aged between 60 years and 79?
Those who are not in that category, there is also another program, special grant for older persons. The special grant for older persons, it has also helped some of the individuals. For them, of course, it is a grant, and they get the money in groups, between 5 to 10 people. And of course, those in the age, here government targets people in the age bracket of 60 to 79.
Mate is still hopeful that one time he shall be reached.
Baitu hanu bana mutuletera kasabuni kama banekayo banda bakatuha kandu karaha kati kosa kasukari batwa hafu mulingoyi.
The average age of individuals diagnosed with cancer is 66. This means that half of all cancer cases are in men and women. The palliative care project has benefited a lot the elderly persons who are ill and their families, and according to Katsime, they have hope to reach many more patients.
279 actively now.
So, what else can be done for the elderly persons to live or die happy people?
Because some people just find themselves getting old and maybe they are not prepared how to look after themselves when they are old. The family perhaps don't know how to look after an older person. I think that we need to back up the government program with some kind of sensitization or even lectures. Like in a community like this one, you look around, identify people who are in their 60s and begin to orient them what they are likely to experience, how to look after themselves. But also the entire community, I think, needs to be helped.
Rwenzori TV, your gateway to the Rwenzoris.